It should tell you everything about the European Union and how it goes about the business of security of its member nations when they have absolutely scant regard for their own borders, allowing any Tom, Dick and Harry to just come on over the Mediterranean and then slip through undetected through their member states, only to end up on the shores of Great Britain. And it should tell you even more about the European Union when it's transpired that some of these migrants have been armed. And we're not talking about knives here, we're talking weapons of horrendous destruction, i.e. automatic rifles, guns, pistols, small arms basically. They've been bringing them over, landing on our beaches and then disappearing into the British countryside. And according to some branches of the British press, the police here in the UK have done little to nothing to find these people. Nothing whatsoever. How criminal is that? So the EU has no problem with these people coming over. People, they don't know who they are, criminal history, purpose, or anything really. But they are making damn sure that Brits going over to Europe to spend money and spend their holidays there have a fucking hard time, and they're making it as hard as possible for us. Now, you may have seen on the mainstream media, Sky News, BBC, all the usual biased left-wing news outlets there, that they have been concentrating on the story that thousands of British vehicles have been queuing up for hours on end, sometimes 15 hours, just to get through the port of Dover and be on their way to the EU, spend their money and spend time with family, friends, whatever. It's not like the Brits are going over there with no ID to rape, pillage and murder. But still, the Brits dared to vote for Brexit back in 2016, and so the EU wants to punish us. Now, their excuse, and the Twitter idiots are having great joy in seeing this, and blaming Brexit, by the way, for this queue to Dover. It's nothing to do with Brexit, but it's to do with the audacity of Brits having the democratic decision to vote to leave the EU. That's what it's all about. We've given the EU a bloody nose. We've defied them, and they don't like that. And they're blaming it on British passports because we don't have EU passports anymore. We're not part of their mafia gang, their criminal gang, because we've gone our own way. We're doing our own thing now. And so the French president, the little manlet Emmanuel Macron, who is a Brussels puppet, by the way, a globalist little thing, who likes to do as he's told. And they're saying it's because the British have their own passports and every passport must be stamped. However, I remember flying to Marrakesh in Morocco a few times, and their passport control, their immigration entry point in the airport seemed far more efficient, and they're not even in the EU. We have nothing to do with them. It wasn't a problem. I remember landing in Marrakesh, seeing this huge room filled with people getting their passports stamped, and it was done in a jiffy. I mean, how long does it take to have your passport stamped? And that's it. I had a stern-looking Moroccan officer looking at me saying, "What's the purpose of your visit?" I just said holiday with the missus at the time, and that was it. Stamped and off I went. It was that simple. It was that quick. No one got held up. But the EU, Brussels, are making damn sure that people are getting held up in Dover just to make Brexit look bad. This is what it is. It's an exercise in making Brexit look bad, and blaming the fact that we're no longer part of the EU, so things have to be done differently. It doesn't have to be done differently. This is just sour grapes on behalf of Brussels and the likes of Guy Verhofstadt and Ursula von der Leyen, the Bond villain lookalike. These people hate the Brits. They hate us. They hate us for Brexit. They hate us for who we are, our history of always defying Europe and not towing the line, and long may we continue. Britannia rules the waves, and we will never ever be slaves. And this should tell you everything about the EU really as a whole, because this is how they treat member nations who, take the democratic decision to trust its people to vote the right way. And I'm still convinced Brexit was the right thing, and I will definitely vote for it again. And it's only a matter of time before these European zealots come round to our way of thinking, accept they've lost, they can't change our mind. We will never ever bend the knee to their ludicrous European bureaucracy. And all this is just a test of nerves, and see how long they can do without our tourist money. I mean, if I was head of the EU, undemocratically put their puppets, by the way. Who is the head of the EU? Does anyone know? I certainly don't. And I never ever got an opportunity to vote for one when we were member of the EU for all those years. Yet these people were telling us how to run our country and how things should be. I think that's disgusting. It's undemocratic, and the EU should just die. And these migrants who turn up at our shores armed and disappear into our countryside and commit crimes, well, that's on them, as well as our useless border force and Royal National Lifeboat Institution who are a taxi service and bring them over because it's the woke thing to do. Well, wokeness kills, and so does having a bleeding heart. I wonder how many members of the British Border Force down south and the Royal National Lifeboat Institution can look the victims of the Manchester bombing in the eyes. I don't know. But there we go. All this is just EU bureaucracy making people queue up for hours at Dover because we voted for Brexit. It's that simple. There's no other answer, folks. And that's what I think. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And just to let you know, I am going off-grid for a week. I'm going on a camping holiday. I will have no internet, thus no social media, and it's going to be bliss. So I'm going to be away for a week. I'm going to be in a tent, and I'm going to fucking love it. I'm going to have the time of my life. And that's it. So until my next video, please take care and Roger Trout.